10 years ago, maybe.
So I thought you posted online about your recovery and all that you do for that. How long you been doing all those things? What's the most recent addition?
I think I've been doing like the hydrotherapy for a while now, for like maybe like the last 6, 7 years. It's funny, when I was young, I used to like take pride stupidly in like not doing recovery and being like, okay physically. But now that I'm, older and been playing for a long time and want to continue playing for a long time, I think recovery is like a big part of my routine these days.
When you're in that hyperbaric chamber, you have ear pods in, you listening to something?
Yeah, that's actually the newest like addition that I've been doing lately. I started doing it like this past off season, and we would go to a facility where they had like it was a little more like intense version of it that would go up to like 100% extra oxygen or something like that. And while you're in there, you have to equalize and stuff like that. But I have like a smaller version that does like 25% extra oxygen at home. And I just like bring my iPad in there, watch film, or I'm just like playing video, like a little handheld video game or listening to music or something like that. But it's a nice way to just decompress and also get some therapy at the same time, some treatment. I don't go to sleep in there, but I do set an alarm just in case I accidentally fall asleep.
What do you feel like when you get out?
I don't think you feel like an immediate result like physically, but I think like my energy level feels a little better, and then it also helps me like sleep better at night. Yeah.
When did you see that? When did you have that switch turn where you started to want to do the recovery? What part of your career did you kind of change your thinking on that?
I think it was around like years 7 or 8. I had like a small like bone spur in my elbow, and I had to play with like an elbow brace. And I just remember that was like a pretty tough season for me. We were like losing a lot. I was pretty banged up physically. And then I just started thinking more about longevity of my career and like post-career as well.
How much longer do you want to play?
I'm not sure. I want to play like as long as possible, as long as I still love it, as long as I'm still feeling good physically, mentally, which, I feel like I have a few more years left in me of that. But, it's hard to say I want to play 5, 10, however, it's hard to put a number on it at this point because, let's say I say 5, and then by the time 5 comes around, I want to play 5 more, you know what I mean? So it's hard to put a number on it, but right now I feel pretty good.
Maybe not Calais Campbell.
What's that?
But maybe not Calais Campbell.
Yeah, I talked to him after the game, actually, and, I was just saying, I respect him a lot, and he's been playing for a long time, and we sent each other some jerseys this past week.
Do you still get to be dominant to want to continue to play?
That's a good question. I think, majority of my career, I've wanted to be the starter, the guy on defense, the one that, teams have to prepare for and things like that. So I think it would be a transition mentally if I wasn't that type of guy anymore. And I think I would have to reassess if I wanted to continue playing or not.
Somewhat to that point, the most impactful defensive lines are an unselfish unit.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best way to create buy-in with that unselfishness, with all of the guys who are counting on sacks and stats to get paid?
I mean, for me, being older and like I just said about reevaluating myself if I wasn't that, premier guy on the defense anymore, it's more of like how can I get back to the young guys? How can I help guys like Byron Murphy? How can I teach them, everything that, I've learned throughout my career, whether that's, how to run games up front, how to prepare your body, how to take care of yourself, how to eat right. There's a lot of ways you can show up as a teammate that are not just stats on the field.
You talked about, go ahead, Jen.
I was going to say, is that something that you have to educate some of the younger players or newer players on? And not necessarily this group, but just in general.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like I just joked about, not being that type of guy when I was young that wanted to take care of my body. Now I can kind of show guys that, if you start early, maybe you could play even longer than me. And, pretty much like learn from my mistakes and learn from the good that I've done as well.
You mentioned the games and stunts. A high percentage of your pressure is not yours, but the defense's pressures are coming on games.
Mm-hmm.
You also said that those can kind of make it easy for quarterbacks to kind of escape the pocket. So what do you guys need to do to kind of get more pressure without the stunts in the games?
I mean, I think we've actually been doing a great job of getting home with just 4 down guys. There's a lot of times where we even have like simulated pressures where it looks like a pressure, it looks like a blitz, well, it is a pressure, but it looks like a blitz, but we're still only sending 4 guys. I think we're doing a good job of that right now. And I think as long as we continue to do that, then it opens up the rest of the defense.
I was saying, when you put on tape of Baker Mayfield, what stands out about what he does as a quarterback?
To me, it's just his energy, his demeanor, his he's a competitor, and you can tell it shows up on tape, and you could tell his team feeds off of it. You could tell the rest of the team kind of wants to live and play the same style of football that he does. And I think, like we just talked about getting home up front, I think this is an important game, rushing as one. He does a good job of getting out of the pocket. He likes to run vertical out of the pocket, and when he does, he extends drives.
Can that be a harder thing, to Jen's point about the unselfishness, for like younger players to understand, though, that maybe I don't get as many sacks, but the defense as a whole can be better if we all play in a certain way? Yeah,
I mean, it's tough, but it's a double-edged sword. To me, it makes sense that, players want to see their stats. They want to get the fruits of their labors and things like that, especially in a market nowadays where, as a D lineman, that's what people want to see from you is sacks. But, sometimes you have to remind those young guys that, they're being effective. They're helping the defense. They're stopping the run. They're getting pressures. They're getting in the face of the quarterback, making them call, errant throws and stuff like that. So there's a lot of ways that you can affect the game as a D lineman without, sacks on the stat sheet.
You spent a fair amount of time talking to Zabel during training camp. I'm curious if those conversations have continued and what you've seen from him.
Yeah, those conversations for sure continued. He even came up to me right before one-on-ones yesterday, and he was like, "Hey, can you pay attention to my reps and let me know what you're seeing and stuff like that?" And to me, that's the one thing I like about him so much as a rookie, as a first-rounder especially. I think sometimes you see first-rounders sometimes come in and they feel like they know it all because, they've been drafted high and they've been successful in college and things like that. And Gray came in just like an open sheet, just wanted to learn as much as possible. He's humble enough to know that he has some room to grow and stuff like that, and he's eager to do it.
Have you had conversations like that with other offensive linemen in your career?
Yeah, I have for sure, even with other vets. Like me and Charles talk with each other all the time as well. And, when we have good reps against each other, we're kind of like reminding each other like what worked well here and what's not working and stuff like that against each other. So, iron sharpens iron, and we know that. And to me, this is one of the first times I've seen a young guy on the opposite side of the ball just go out of his way so often to get information from the other side of the ball.
When you were mic'd up in Pittsburgh, I think before the game, he gave you some sort of tip on a lineman that his school had faced in college. Did that end up coming in handy?
Yeah, so some of the offensive line does that as well, where, they know certain guys on the other side. Like if we're going up against an offensive line right now, they may know a certain guy and their tendencies, and they'll come up to me and let some of the veteran guys know their tendencies and what beats them.
There's going to be a lot of legends in town this week for the game, for the 50th celebration. Is that something, do you try to pick those guys' brains, spending time with them, or are you just so locked in on the game you don't pay attention to the rest of that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like I might see them in the locker room, I might see them around, but to me, I'm just staying on my routine, staying on my, preparation for the game. If I run into them and I happen to see them, I'm obviously going to say hi and show respect, but I'm not going out of my way to find any of those guys because I'm just so focused on my routine and what I have to do to win the game.
Thank you, Lou. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.